I can't believe this. I mean, honestly, can you even wrap your head around it? I've been kicked out. Just deleted. Gone from the Fab Five group chat. One minute I'm about to send a hilarious meme of a cat falling off a chair. The next, the chat thread is just gone. Vanished. My thumb is raw from scrolling, frantically searching, thinking it's a bug or my phone is glitching. I even restarted the damn thing twice. But it's not a glitch, is it? It's a statement. I've called Lauren at least 15 times. I'm not exaggerating. Each call is like a punch to the gut. It rings twice, then that sickeningly cheerful, pre-recorded voice pipes up. "Hey, you've reached Lauren. So sorry I missed you. Leave a message." It's the same message she's had for 3 years, the one we all made fun of her for. Now it sounds like the coldest thing I've ever heard. A wall of manufactured sunshine. I tried Jess next, then Katie. Same thing, straight to the digital abyss of voicemail. So now I'm just sitting here, scrolling through my camera roll like a detective looking for clues to a crime I didn't know I'd committed. And God, the evidence of our friendship is overwhelming. There we are, the Fab Five, at the lake house last summer, sunburned and covered in mosquito bites. There's another one from Lauren's graduation, me holding her diploma because she was crying too hard. I look at that picture, at her arms slung around my shoulder, her head leaning against mine, and it just doesn't compute. 10 years. 10 years of being each other's emergency contacts, of late-night pizza and crying sessions, of celebrating every tiny victory. What the hell did I do? I keep replaying everything, every conversation, every text from the last month, and I'm coming up with a big, fat zero. Nothing. There was no fight. No dramatic blowout. Just this. This brutal, deafening silence that feels louder than any screaming match could ever be. It's like I went asleep in my own bed and woke up on the moon, and everyone I know is just a tiny dot back on Earth, staring at me from across a void I didn't even know I crossed. How do you just erase someone like that? Without a word. It had to be the party. It's the only thing that makes a shred of sense. The party at my place last Saturday. God, I remember feeling so untouchable. You know that feeling? Like you're walking on air. I just closed the biggest deal of my career at the firm, a real soul-crushing monster of a project I'd been bleeding for over 6 months. The senior partners were practically bowing to me. My bonus was going to be life-changing. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt like all the insane hours, the missed brunches, the constant, grinding stress, it was all finally worth it. I wasn't just surviving, I was winning. So naturally, I wanted to celebrate with my girls, the whole Fab Five. I bought the real champagne, the kind with a cork that could take someone's eye out, not the cheap Prosecco we usually get. I ordered a mountain of food from that fancy Italian place downtown that we always said was for a special occasion. This was it. I wanted it to be perfect. And it was for the first hour or so. We were all laughing, screaming over each other, doing what we always do. Then Lauren, with this nervous energy, pulled a box out of her tote bag. Inside were these little handmade candles. Scented candles. She'd been messing around with this stuff for a few months, a little side hobby she picked up from some YouTube tutorials. It was her new thing. She was so genuinely excited, you know how she gets. Her face was all lit up, her hands fluttering as she explained the different scent profiles and top notes. Okay, so this one is sandalwood and black cardamom, it's for focus. And this one is lavender and chamomile, for sleep. I've been testing the wax blends for weeks. She passed them around. Everyone was doing the obligatory oohing and ahhing. Oh my God, Laure, these are amazing, Katie squealed. You could totally sell these on Etsy. And that's when I opened my stupid, arrogant mouth. I was on my 3rd glass of champagne, feeling magnanimous and wise, and if I'm being honest, a little too full of myself. I took one of the candles. It smelled nice, like vanilla and something woodsy. I gave her this big smile, what I genuinely thought was a warm, encouraging, big sisterly smile. This is cute, Laure. Super cute, I said. And then the words just tumbled out, coated in that bubbly, condescending warmth of someone who thinks they know better. But honestly, how much can you really make from this stuff? It's a nice little hobby, but don't go quitting your day job, okay? I swear to God, in that exact moment I thought I was being helpful, protective even. Like I was the one who just slayed the dragon in the real world, the corporate world. I was just giving her a dose of reality, saving her from future disappointment. I saw her smile falter for a split second, just a tiny, almost imperceptible flicker in her eyes, but then it was back, plastered on. She laughed it off, a little too high-pitched. Haha, no, of course not, Sarah. Just a bit of fun. The conversation immediately shifted. Someone asked me about my promotion again, and the moment was gone. I didn't think about it again, not for a single second. It was just a throwaway line, a dumb, harmless joke between friends. A bit of banter. Right, it couldn't possibly be that. It was nothing, just nothing. The silence stretched into a fourth day, and the panic started to feel like a physical weight in my chest, a constant, dull ache. Every single notification on my phone made my heart leap with a desperate hope, only to crash when it was just another work email or a spam text about a package I hadn't ordered. I was completely, utterly ghosted. Finally, after my fifth pathetic, rambling voicemail to her, where I think I actually started crying by the end, Jess texted back. Just 3 words, no punctuation, no warmth. Cafe Nero, 10 a.m. I got there 15 minutes early, my stomach churning with a toxic mix of dread and relief. I must have rehearsed my opening line 100 times. What's going on? Is everyone okay? Did I do something? Jess walked in right on time, and she had this look on her face, this awful, pained, pitying look that you give to a wounded animal. She didn't hug me. That was the first deafening alarm bell. Jess is a hugger. We always hugged. She just gave me a tight little nod and sat down. We ordered coffee, and the small talk was excruciating, physically painful. We talked about the weather. Then we talked about a new show on Netflix. It was surreal, like we were strangers stuck in an elevator, desperately trying to fill the silence. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. The words just burst out of me. Jess, please. You have to tell me what's going on. What did I do? Is this about Lauren? I know it is. She stared into her latte like it held the answers to the universe, tracing the rim of the mug with her finger. She let out this deep, heavy sigh that seemed to suck all the air out of the room. It's not that simple, Sarah. You can't just fix this with an apology text. What's not simple? Just talk to me, I begged, my voice cracking, and I hated how weak I sounded. I'm in the dark here, I'm losing my mind. And then she did. She told me what happened after I, feeling smug and celebrated, had waved them all off from my doorstep that night. Lauren had apparently held it together, smiling and saying her goodbyes, until she got into her car. The second she was alone, she just shattered. She called Katie, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. They all ended up back at Lauren's tiny apartment, where she completely broke down in a way they'd never seen before. Jess took a slow sip of her coffee, deliberately avoiding my eyes. It felt like she was preparing to deliver a verdict. She said that your joke wasn't just a joke. It was the final proof of what she's felt for years. Jess's voice was quiet, almost a whisper, and she started quoting Lauren directly, like she had memorized the lines. It felt like I was being hit with tiny, sharp rocks. Lauren said, "Every single time Sarah gets a win, she finds a way to make me feel small. It's like she can't be happy unless she reminds me that I'm just her little project. The friend who's still a glorified assistant with a stupid, pointless hobby." I just stared at her, my mouth hanging open. Little project? What the hell was she talking about? Jess kept going, and her words were relentless, a slow, methodical dismantling of my reality. Lauren told us, she doesn't see my candles as something I'm proud of, something I built from nothing. She sees it as another thing she can be superior to. She can't stand that I've found something that's just mine, something that she can't measure with a paycheck or a job title. It's my joy, and she had to piss all over it to make her promotion feel bigger. Jess finally looked up and met my eyes, and her own were full of this sad, weary disappointment that was 1,000 times worse than anger. She's really, really hurt, Sarah. We all are. We were all there, we heard the tone in your voice. It was cruel. Cruel. The word hung in the air between us, ugly and final. I'd never been called cruel in my entire life. Me? I'm the one who organizes the surprise birthday parties, who remembers the anniversaries of their parents' deaths, who hosted the damn party to celebrate my success with them. The narrative she had spun was a complete and utter distortion. a funhouse mirror version of our 10-year friendship. But as Jess spoke, relaying Lauren's raw pain, I could see it. I could see how my words, my careless, champagne-fueled words, filtered through years of some hidden resentment I never knew existed, could land like a deliberate, targeted punch. And for the first time, a cold, terrifying thought wormed its way into my brain. What if she's right? That conversation with Jess wasn't the end of it. It was the beginning of something so much worse. The agonizing silence was broken, but it was replaced by a calculated, systematic, and utterly brutal freeze-out. It was like Lauren had taken a scalpel to our shared social life and expertly, methodically excised me from it, leaving no scars on anyone but me. My initial, frantic attempts to reach out were met with a wall of digital nothingness. I sent Lauren a long, rambling apology text. God, it was probably the most heartfelt, self-flagellating thing I've ever written. I admitted everything, called myself an arrogant jerk, and begged for a chance to talk. I reread it 100 times before hitting send, my hands shaking. The 2 blue check marks appeared instantly. She read it. And then nothing. Not a fuck you, not an I need time, just a void. The next day I tried calling. It didn't even ring. Straight to a generic automated message. She had blocked my number. Then the social media posts started. It was a masterclass in passive aggression. It began subtly, designed to look innocent to outsiders, but to be a precision strike for me. A group photo from a Sunday brunch at our favorite spot, a place I wasn't invited to. Just the 4 of them, smiling, raising mimosas to the camera. The caption was a cheerful, generic, Sunday fun day with my favorite people. But Jess tagged Lauren, adding, "So good to be surrounded by such positive vibes." It felt like a direct hit. Then a week later, a flurry of Instagram stories from a weekend trip to a cabin upstate. A trip we had all talked about taking for years. A trip that was my idea. There they were, hiking to a waterfall, laughing by a fireplace, clinking beer bottles in a hot tub. And there I was, sitting on my couch in my silent apartment, watching their perfect, happy lives unfold in tiny, curated 15-second squares on my phone's screen. I was a ghost haunting my own life. Lauren, it turned out, was a genius at this kind of warfare. She never once mentioned my name, of course. That would be too direct, too messy. Instead, she was building a new narrative, and she was doing it in public. She began posting more about her candle business, but with a new, defiant, entrepreneurial edge. Pictures of her at a local craft market, beaming, with captions like, "So grateful for the friends who believe in my dreams and lift me up instead of tearing me down." Every post about empowerment, supportive women, and chasing your passion felt like a dagger aimed right at me. She was retroactively reframing our entire friendship for the jury of our mutual friends. My past actions, things I genuinely thought were generous, were now being recast as evidence of my toxic arrogance. The time I paid for a fancy dinner to cheer her up after her last bad breakup. Not a kind gesture, but a condescending power move to show off my bigger salary. The career advice I gave her, helping her prep for that interview last year. Not mentorship, but an insulting attempt to fix her life because I thought it wasn't good enough. The final nail in the coffin was when I tried to break the silence in our old, now-defunct, Fab Five chat. I just couldn't stand it anymore. In a moment of pure desperation, I typed out a long message, a digital Hail Mary, addressed to all of them. "Guys, can we please just talk about this? I know I messed up. I was an arrogant idiot, and I'm so sorry for what I said, Lauren. But 10 years of friendship has to be worth more than one stupid comment. I miss you guys more than I can say." I hit send, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. I watched the screen for what felt like an eternity. One by one, the little red by icons popped up beneath my message. Katie, Jess, and finally Lauren, they had all seen it. The cursor in the chat box blinked, taunting me with the possibility of a response. I waited, holding my breath, and waited. Nothing. Just the deafening, soul-crushing silence of 4 people reading my plea and collectively deciding it wasn't worth a single word. That was it. I wasn't just kicked out of the group. I was an outcast. And Lauren was the one who had drawn the new map of our world, with a giant, uncrossable border right around me. Months crawled by. The raw, sharp pain of the initial schism dulled into a chronic, hollow ache. I threw myself into my work, logging 70-hour weeks, hoping to bury the loneliness under piles of paperwork and financial projections. But there are some events you just can't escape. Jess's engagement party was one of them. The invitation arrived like a summons, a crisp, cream-colored card that felt more like a threat than a celebration. I knew I had to go. Not going would be a concession of defeat, a final, public surrender. The moment I walked through the door of the crowded restaurant they'd rented out, I felt it. A subtle shift in the atmosphere, a dip in the collective hum of conversation. It was like stepping into a cold spot in a room. A few acquaintances offered tight, awkward smiles. Most people just suddenly found the ceiling fascinating or their drinks in urgent need of attention. And then I saw her. Lauren. She was standing in the center of a laughing, adoring circle of our old friends, holding a glass of champagne. She looked incredible, radiant. She was wearing a new dress I'd never seen, and her hair was different, lighter. She looked happy, genuinely, effortlessly happy. For a split second, our eyes met across the room. There was no anger in her gaze, no hatred, not even sadness. There was just nothing, a calm, cool, and complete indifference. It was the look you give a stranger you accidentally bump into on the street. Then, she turned away. It wasn't a dramatic, pointed turn. It was a slow, deliberate pivot back to her friends, a seamless re-engagement with her world, a world that no longer included me. As she turned, the circle of friends instinctively closed ranks, their bodies forming a warm, impenetrable wall of laughter and conversation. Katie, who had once been my closest confidant after Lauren, was standing right beside her, laughing at something she said, her hand resting on Lauren's arm. They had closed the circle, and I was on the outside, looking in. I spent the next hour hovering near the food table, pretending to be engrossed in a plate of mini quiches. I made excruciating small talk with Jess's second cousin. Every burst of laughter from Lauren's group felt like a physical blow. The promotion, the bonus, the career I had been so proud of that night, it all felt so pathetic and hollow. What good was winning in the boardroom when you've been so thoroughly defeated in life? I felt like a ghost at a feast, a spectator to a life that used to be mine. After an hour of this quiet, public torture, I slipped out the back door without saying goodbye to anyone. No one noticed I was gone. Driving home from the party, the city lights blurred into long, meaningless streaks through my tear-filled eyes. The anger was gone. The desperate need to defend myself, to explain my side of the story, all of it had evaporated in the cold vacuum of Lauren's indifference. All that was left was this thick, choking, confusing regret. I pulled over, the car idling under the orange glow of a streetlight. I kept replaying that one stupid, arrogant sentence in my head. "Don't go quitting your day job, okay?" It echoed in the silence of the car, sounding more vile and condescending each time. But it wasn't just about the comment anymore. It was about the 10 years leading up to it. Was she right? Had I been doing this all along? I started frantically digging through my memories, searching for clues, for other instances of my casual cruelty. The time I'd helpfully suggested a better gym for her. The way I'd always insisted on picking the restaurant. Every memory was now tainted, suspect. When did I become that person? The one who measures friendship in terms of success and status? Or was I always that person, just too blinded by my own ambition to see it? The worst part is, I don't even know. I genuinely don't know. And that's what's killing me. I sit here with a great job and a fancy apartment, and I've never felt more like a complete and utter failure. How did I not see the resentment building? How did I not feel the ground shifting beneath my feet? How did things get this bad, this broken, right under my nose?